What's going on, H-Town, Houston Rockets fans, no matter where you are? This is Rockets Daily, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy, where we talk all things Houston Rockets. We're going to recap this win over the Chicago Bulls, much needed win over the Chicago Bulls, and talk about what's moving forward, including this big upcoming matchup between the Oklahoma City Thunder on Thursday night. Once again, brought to you guys by Underdog Fantasy. Appreciate everyone who has watched the show, whether it's your first time coming across here. Hopefully, it's not your last. Go ahead and subscribe. That way, you never miss a video when we drop it. Or if you're listening via even if you're listening just audio only, we appreciate you guys being here. This show, nothing without you guys. Appreciate all the comments as well. We're going to go ahead and get into this one pretty quickly here, and I'll also see you guys tomorrow. But let's first of all, let's go ahead and talk about this win over the Chicago Bulls, 119-113. Rockets in another dogfight here. We're 13 and a half, 13-point favorites in this game, won by 6, but still a lot to be positive about overall. Last couple shows, a little bit, looking at a little negative, and it's hard to be positive during a 3-game losing streak, especially when that 3-game losing streak comes to 3 losing teams, including one of the worst teams in the Western Conference. But it is what it is. Rockets were back home at the Toyota Center last night. Now 12-2 at home. Home cooking's been a big difference, and one thing I will say, even though the Rockets early on in the season didn't have a lot of back-to-backs compared to most teams, had a little bit more rest. A lot of games, a big difference as far as the home and road discrepancy now. Only 14 games played at home for the Rockets, including the game last night, and 23 games already on the road. So something there to think about with a little bit of grace. The win over the Bulls lifts us. There's still a lot of basketball left, but for the meantime, lifts the Houston Rockets out of a play-in spot and into the number 6 spot over the Phoenix Suns now by a half a game. Mentioned a lot of basketball left. Josh Giddey, Kobe White were out, but the Chicago Bulls still hung in there against the Rockets overall. Rockets got back into the positive rebounding margin, out rebounded the Chicago Bulls by 10, which is something that definitely should happen. Free throws, 22 for 29, 7 for 24 from 3-point range. 3-point shooting was still an issue for the Rockets overall, but there's still a lot to be positive about. For one, at some point, the shooting, as we mentioned now over the last 6 games, Rockets dead last in 3-point percentage. Things are going to have to turn around eventually. Now, are the Rockets going to continue as early in the season to be the number 1 3-point shooting team by percentage? This roster is constructed, probably not going to continue, but one thing that I definitely love to see is, with a few minutes left, a 104-103 dogfight. Jabari Smith Jr. is in a stretch there for about 1 for 25 stretch on his threes, and to see a span there. We looked at the game against Sacramento. Jabari shooting struggles just even prior to that. Şengün coming back but missing 2 big free throws down the stretch against Sacramento. And yesterday, saw 2 big threes. You saw a run where Jabari Smith got 6 out of the next 8 points for the team, and the other 2 points with 2 big free throws from Şengün. So nice to see that. Shooters shoot, slumps happen, especially out of how many threes these guys take. I know 1 for 25. It seems like, how could it possibly happen? But it can. And if you've, it may sound crazy, but if you ever played basketball at any level, I mean, there are moments where sometimes you just feel like you just can't buy a bucket. It could be a confidence thing, but things averaging out over time, looks like Jabari Smith could be ready for a hot streak, and this could be a big confidence boost for him. Also, what I like to see yesterday, we've talked about on the show, as far as we need to go deeper into the bench and find out what can happen there. Jae'Sean Tate got to play a little bit. Didn't play great, but he got to play, tried things out. You go to the bench, things can happen. Got a nice game from J.D. Davison. I mean, we talked about J.D. Davison know, he's a popular guy, a little bit under the radar. Still young, which is 5-star recruit out of high school. You know, left early after 1 year at Alabama, but played really nice yesterday. After 3 years in the Boston Celtics organization, and J.D. Davison got 25 minutes, 9 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, and really no turnovers. We start to look at ball handling and being a pure point guard. He did a lot of nice things. Played instead of Aaron Holiday, plus 14 for J.D. Davison, which actually was the second best mark on the team when he was on the floor. Şengün was plus 19. Big game for Şengün. He definitely made a difference having him back in the lineup. I understand he played against the Kings, but having him back in the rhythm after getting that game under his belt. 11 assists, 7 rebounds, and 23 points for him. But J.D. Davison playing definitely was a spark in the right direction. So that was nice to see. I like to see J.D. Davison getting more minutes. And if we can get contributions from guys like J.D. Davison, especially Dorian Finney-Smith was out yesterday, Tari Eason's out. Nice to that's going to be a big difference for this team going forward. So shout out to Coach Udoka there for go ahead and going a little bit deeper into the bench. And want to let you guys know that fast breaks, buzzer beaters, and block parties are back. And Underdog is the best place to get in on all the action. Playing on Underdog is easy. Just pick whether your favorite players will go higher or lower on stats like points, rebounds, steals, and more. Get your picks right, and you can win up to 5,000 times your cash. This week on Underdog, we're looking at Kevin Durant from some higher props for points. Go ahead, lock those in. Download the app today. Use promo code BASKETBALLFAN to score $75 in bonus entries when you play your first $5. That's promo code BASKETBALLFAN. Underdog. Make picks and win money. All right. Next up here, we're going to talk about Kevin Durant a little bit, and I'm going to go into this too long. But, one thing I'm kind of seeing popping up again, and as you look at this team this year versus the record last year, and Kevin Durant obviously has not been the problem with this team at all. But there's still that narrative with Kevin Durant. Does he really make a team better? You look at what happened in Brooklyn. Golden State, he was the best player on those Golden State championship teams, as great as Steph Curry is, at least for those 2 years that they won. But still, gets a lot of flack for joining an already, 73-win team. Brooklyn, Phoenix, obviously, did not even to make the playoffs last year. Just shouldn't happen. And there's a lot of different people to blame. And when he made that big shot over the game-winning shot for the Rockets against the Suns not long ago, he mentioned being a scapegoat for an organization when he played for the Suns and how good it felt to hit a shot like that and beat them. But I see it on message boards, not just Rockets message boards, but overall, even nationally, and articles and journalists, and just on social media, people saying Kevin Durant doesn't play winning basketball, he doesn't move the needle. Just how do you guys feel about that? This season is still yet to finish, so we'll see how it all plays out. I don't have regrets about the trade, but it is something to just think about, even though Kevin Durant is a better piece on this team overall. Jalen Green hasn't really been playing this season. You'll get comparing with Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks, and in the long term, the upside that Kevin Durant has. But we talked about patience the last couple days. When you make a trade for a guy like Kevin Durant, you are saying we're trying to win now. Things take time, but you trade for a 37-year-old superstar, you're saying it's time to win now. And that's just the danger of all the different potential trades out there. Saw Trae Young go to Washington. Obviously, that's a long-term move for them, or maybe a quick salary. Who knows what the Wizards are doing? We're not going to think about that too long, or what the Hawks are doing. But obviously, Ja Morant, way out of the odds now. I talked about him before. People thought it was ridiculous. But at that point, he was in the top 3 odds. When you looked at the odds of where to go, Houston was in the running. Now Houston's not even in the top 12, which I actually think is a positive thing. But where I'm getting at with all this, you can make a trade for a big name. Giannis, his name's always going to float around. But you trade so many different pieces or key pieces for a guy like Giannis. Even if you don't trade what seems like too many assets for a guy like Kevin Durant, it doesn't necessarily mean that the wins and losses are going to pick up. And a little bit of, I'm not going to go about that too much. You guys can kind of take that for what it's worth. But we'll see when this whole body of work plays out. And who knows what the reason for that is with Kevin Durant, as far as why he gets that narrative, and why that's been the case in Brooklyn and in Phoenix. Although with Brooklyn, they really broke it up before a given time. You could blame a lot of that on Kyrie, James Harden, etc. What's next for the Rockets? Big game at the Toyota Center on Thursday night. Maybe catching the Thunder in a little bit of a good spot, as they've been struggling as well shooting the ball, but they're coming off of a big win on Tuesday against the San Antonio Spurs, and the Spurs had beat them 3 times this season, so that was a big focus spot for Oklahoma City. Coming into Houston, played with the food a little bit on the road, losing those games, losing to some teams we shouldn't have lost to. Now beating the Bulls, but the Bulls, even shorthanded, hung around. We'll see what the focus is against Oklahoma City. His team should be locked in. It should be fun to see. And then the very next night against the Minnesota Timberwolves team. When you look at the standings and you look at thing to be concerned about right now, the Rockets so much better at home. On the road's been a struggle. It makes the regular season important, because the way that we're playing right now, going to be a lot of road playoff games. So we want to change that around for some home court advantage, so we can have the luxury of playing more home games in the playoffs. Gonna have to lock in, and we'll see what happens here against Oklahoma City on Thursday night, and the Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday night. We'll talk about it more tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching. Appreciate if you guys will subscribe. This has been Rockets Daily, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Let me know what you guys thought about J.D. Davidson's performance, Şengün's performance, and overall just Kevin Durant. Thanks so much for watching. I will see you guys